Hey guys, welcome back. In this video, we are talking about the AMC and GME squeeze, why AMC is stronger than ever, the preventing price action, and many more in this video. First, we take a look at this. Some people are suggesting AMC will not follow / squeeze with GME. On the left is AMC's chart from back in 21 before the GME squeeze. Notice it was sitting at the very lows. Along with it, sentiment was very low, identical to current situation. On the right is GME chart from the same time frame. Notice GME was way off the lows, making higher highs / higher lows and flagging before it squeezed, same as today's chart. If history repeats with GME, you're a fool to think AMC wouldn't follow. Now, when you take a look at the past data, where it indicates it's what's happening right now, where we obviously see AMC at the low, but GME was making highs, but yet when they both ran up, both AMC and GME ran up. Now, a few things to obviously talk about here. Now, again, this is to talk about whether people were saying that, back in 2021, was this a squeeze or not? Well, everyone obviously have different opinions on that. But what we do know was that obviously there were shorts caught in this and they had to cover some of their positions, not fully. And it's why, people don't think it's a squeeze, because not all the positions were covered and actually they were made more. Now, the thing is to talk about here in terms of why AMC will not follow / squeeze with GME. So obviously what we've seen recently is the things that are happening with GME. We've seen how they're restricting FTD data. We've seen how GME's price is glitching. And so we're obviously seeing multiple things. Now these things are indicating that we could be seeing a possible squeeze happening with GME. And again, people saying that AMC will not. But the things we have to understand is that both AMC and GME have been targeted by the same short sellers. And one of the things that I've always talked about on this channel is that both will replicate each other, meaning that it isn't just GME that's leading the whole, the whole situation. We've seen in the past where GME hasn't had any action, but AMC has. And when AMC's had these actions, GME then obviously followed along with it. And obviously the vice versa exists as well, where AMC didn't have any action and the GME did, and the AMC followed along with that as well. And so the thing to note here is that when they get squeezed out, whether it's with AMC first or over with GME first, you have to understand they are the same mutual short sellers, meaning the same short sellers are both shorting AMC and GME. So if they were to get squeezed in one stock, then the other stock will squeeze as well. And that's what we've always talked about on this channel. And so when you take a look at here and you see everything that's happening with GME, like I said, it's an indication of why AMC will be seeing stuff happening as well. And furthermore, we have to understand is that the fundamental positions of AMC is already at a good position. So the very fact we are seeing the price go down should indicate multiple things. It should show that firstly, it's not a reflection of the fundamentals of AMC, but secondly, it's understanding when the fundamentals is good, why is the price still going down? Because they're trying to hide something. When you take a look at this Q1 month to date, so for 2025, we are at 230 million. For 2019, we were at 216 million. Movie are stronger than ever. Who's saying that AMC theaters will go to bankruptcy? We've never been wrong. Prices lie and gift for the buyers time to load up. Now, as always, not a financial advice, so do take a second result. Make sure you do your own due diligence and research. But what we're seeing right now is that the fundamentals are stronger than ever, and they're only going to be getting even bigger. We've seen how the average movie box office is obviously increasing. We see how AMC, when they see a big box office, they not only make money from the ticket sales, but multiple other things like merchandise, like concessions, like food, all of these things as well. And so that's what's important. So the very fact we are seeing it go up should showcase how well AMC is going to do. And so even in the time when the fundamentals of AMC is improving, but yet their price is going down, then clearly they are obviously trying to hide something. Another thing to be looking at, you can see here, shorts aren't actually locating and borrowing shares, just selling synthetic shares, creating IOUs, aka FTDs, that are never closed. Shorts never has to buy back, FTD reset with options, total scam. Then they prevent price from rising with order routing and spoofing while shorting more. So this pretty much sums up, in terms of the suppression and manipulation we see with AMC. where we know how they're selling synthetics because we've seen the amount of FTDs, we've seen the amount of IOUs. And when they do try to buy back, they don't actually have to because they just reset it with options or tokens or any other methods. And in the meantime, what they also do is that they prevent the price rising, obviously with order routing and then spoofing while shorting more. So you can see how they have made a whole system. By selling synthetics, it increases the supply. And when you increase the supply to that it meets the demand, the price will stay at the equilibrium. Anyone who understands basic economics will obviously understand that. So that's their first step of keeping price at an equal level. Then what they do is that because they never have to buy back, you will never see the supply running out. You will never see the demand increase to a different level because they never have to buy the shares. So it's, again, price at equilibrium. What they also do to prevent the price from going up is obviously order routing. So what they have is a method to kind of stagnate the price. They have a method to remove all the buyer pressure, and then the only volume that hits the market is obviously spoofing and shorting, which pushes the price down. So you can see how they have a method to cover pretty much all aspects, and that's how they manipulate and suppress the price. But remember, these come at a price. These aren't free. The fact they're creating synthetics means they're spending money, and obviously when they have to buy back, they will have to pay a lot more money. Now, speaking obviously in terms of understanding the FTDs, how they're doing this, you can see one absolute cluster of a mess they've created, where what we're seeing right now are, again, just the tokens, and you can see the addresses that are coming in. Now, this is obviously a big number, and you can see how tokens are being transferred from addresses to other addresses, and the amount of tokens. Now, some of the numbers that you're seeing here, the T stands for trillion. So we're seeing 42 trillion, 35 trillion, 3 trillion, 6 trillion. So these are the amount of tokens that were obviously being transferred. And this is what's obviously shocking. The fact we are seeing this amount of shares that obviously exist out there, or at least the tokens. One thing that's never been cleared up is obviously knowing, what are these backed by? What are these in terms of ratio to? Are they 1-to-1? Are they 1-to-100? That's something that's never been figured out. But the very fact that the existence of these do actually exist, the very fact that they are used to, of course, as a way of using it to short against AMC, should already show you that in terms of the manipulation that's obviously happening in the market. Now, another thing is, wow, someone's literally scrounging for GME shares by forcing all retail buys as limit orders. Retail orders filled with IOUs and ATS routed. How tight is demand from short and retailers that the brokers doing this to suppress upward share price movement? So we talked about AMC, and now we'll also be talking about GME, and this also relates to what we said at the start, with obviously how GME and AMC obviously move together. But this is something that, again, you can see the IOUs. IOUs is something they used a lot for both AMC and GME, and this is just one thing. We briefly mentioned about, in terms of how you are only able to buy GME on JPM Chase with limit orders. What by using limit orders, what that do is that it actually routes the orders into the dark pool, at least the majority of it, meaning that what we talked about here in terms of understanding how they prevent price from rising with order routing. And so that's what they're doing with, of course, the limit orders. And so this is what we're seeing. And also, it obviously creates the IOUs that we've talked about, because we aren't actually seeing shares being filled. We are not actually seeing the existence of shares when it's limit orders, because we don't actually understand, what's happening in the dark pool when they internalize these orders. And so this is what they do to suppress upward movement. And the very fact they're doing this for GME right now should obviously allow us to understand that something is definitely happening. If they're trying to suppress the price of GME, they're definitely worried about something. But precisely because they're suppressing the price of GME, we could be seeing something happening. And when we see something happening, AMC will also follow along with it. Now, let's take a look at this. 5.8 trillion. That's how much leverage hedge funds borrowed as of the 30th of September 2024. So this is still not updated. The number, I suspect, is only going to get bigger. But I think this allows us to understand, when we take a look at the price of AMC, like we said, this does not give us a true, reflection of the fundamentals, because how can AMC be going down when we're seeing the fundamentals improve? Well, very simple. When you take a look at how much money they've borrowed, 5.8 trillion, then it shows us truly, how much suppression is happening. whilst we have to understand not all 5.8 trillion is used towards AMC and GME, that's obviously a given, we do understand that the shorts have access to a large pool of money, and we have seen in the past how much money they've used. And so to understand they have access to this much money, and then you see how the price is being suppressed for AMC, for GME, we understand how big the situation is. And remember, the money that they use to suppress AMC will only get transferred to the retail investors once this squeezes, and that's what we are obviously talking about all the time. And you guys, thanks for watching the video. I'll catch you guys next time.